I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I was born in a family with one sister, 8 years older. My mom and dad loved each other and were best friends, lovers their entire life. They were married 63 years. And so it was a great upbringing. I grew up in the west side of Portland and upper end of Portland. I had a high school experience like most young girls dream about. I was class vice president. I was on the rally squad, the drill team, had a lead in the junior play. I was a homecoming princess. At the end of my junior year in high school, I was pregnant. My high school boyfriend had gone off to college, came home on spring break. I got pregnant. May 1, I tell my mom and dad I'm pregnant. My mother wept for me as if I had died. In her mind, all her dreams for me were dying. We had a very hasty 10-person wedding, and a couple weeks later, I told one of my trusted high school teachers that I was now pregnant and married in that order. And the next thing I know, the principal of the high school called me to his office. Mr. Erickson called me to his office, and he said, "I'm hearing rumors about you. Are they true?" And I said, "Well, if they're about me being pregnant and married, yes." He said, "And you have terrific honors and great academics, but I need to let you know you will not be allowed to return here for your senior year. It would be inappropriate for a pregnant girl to get mixed in with the normal girls." This is 1966, all right? So he said, "But we do have a place for people like you. It's a high school. It's not held during daylight hours. It's after dark. And it's where the pregnant girls and the delinquent boys go to high school." So the next fall, I drove across the river to the other side of Portland to a place in Portland I had not been allowed to drive in after dark, parked my car, and walked up to this big building, which was Washington Evening High School. Well, it was Washington High School. It was Washington High School for the normal kids during the day, and Washington Evening High School at night for pregnant girls, delinquent boys. So as I was going up the steps, I remember thinking, okay, every girl here is either pregnant or has a baby, and every guy here is some kind of delinquent. This is my new student body. And I went in to register, true story, at the big table, and a couple of guys standing there, and one of them says, "Well, hi, my name's Paul, but I'm no apostle." And the kid next to him says, "Yeah, my name's Peter, and I'm no saint." And I said, "Well, my name is Mary, no comment." And that was the beginning of my senior year. Now, I don't know where you were at the beginning of your senior year, but that's where I was. My first son was born in December of 1966. I graduated from Washington Evening High School in May of 1967. And in July of 1967, I was in an intensive care ward in Portland, Oregon, in a hospital there, having been diagnosed with fatal kidney disease. One kidney, the test said, was completely destroyed with nephritis. The other kidney had 50% destruction and active nephritis. This is before kidney transplants. And the doctors told me that if we could get the blood toxin level in my body reduced enough so I could sustain a surgery to remove the right kidney, then maybe I would have 6 months to live. I'm 18 years old. My mom is now watching my 7-month-old son, and I'm terrified. And the God of my upbringing was not a friendly place to go when you felt like you had really screwed up. And in fact, later I would say that God probably needed to attend some anger management classes. And I was terrified. Finally, the night before the surgery was scheduled to remove the right kidney, that night about 10 o'clock, a woman walked in my room who identified herself as a chaplain who was going to be doing prayer with people who were having surgery the next day. And she asked me, "Would you like somebody to pray with you?" And I was scared, and I said yes. And so she pulled her chair over next to the bed, and she sat down. And she said, "Would you be willing to tell me what's been going on in your life the last year or two?" Now, this was before there was a before there was a mind-body clinic at Harvard Medical Teaching Hospital. This was before there was in the common nomenclature any understanding about the mind-body connection. She says, "Could you tell me what's been going on in your life?" I'm scared, so I tell her my story, at the end of which she goes, "Mary, everything's created twice." And I know I just had this either blank or quizzical look on my face. She says, "You know this. You just have no idea the power of knowing this. You know that if you think embarrassing thoughts, your cheeks get red. And you know that if you think scary thoughts, your heart's going to beat faster. But did you know that if you think toxic thoughts, your body's going to reflect that toxicity? I hear how much you love your little boy, but I also hear how much you've been hating yourself. You feel like you shamed yourself and your school and your family. And I'm wondering, now that you're considering how everything is created twice, she says, just look around you. The nightgown you're wearing, the sheet covering you, the bed you're laying on, the ceiling, the floor, the walls, the carpet, all this machinery in this room, it all was a thought before it became a thing. And then she said again, I know that you know this. Everybody knows it. Very few people are aware of the power of knowing that. And then she said, since you're now paying attention to this, could you consider the possibility that if you were to align yourself, this universe is so intelligent and so balanced and perfect that your body is a reflection of what's been going on in your mind. Could you consider the possibility that if we got your mind to align with the divine perfection in the mind of the universe for you, which is perfect, that your body could have what's called a spontaneous remission or a complete healing. And in the morning, the doctors would say to you, you don't need surgery, get up and go home, you're fine. Could you believe that's possible? And I told her the truth. And my truth in that moment was, no, I don't believe that's going to happen for me. I didn't believe it was possible. I believed way more at that moment in my pain than in the promise she was offering me. And I also believed in that moment a lot more in the minor deities than in a major deity. And I knew a minor deity when I met them because they had MD at the end of their name. And whatever they said was my gospel. Now, when the woman said to me, she said, she said, could you believe it's possible you could have a complete healing? I said, no. She said, could you believe then it's possible that everything that is the genesis or the cause of this problem could either be in the kidney that's going to get removed or be swept into the kidney that's going to get removed? Could you believe that's possible? And when that's done, you could get well. Could you believe that? And I didn't really believe that, but I could tell she believed it was possible. And I didn't know if it was possible, but I could tell she believed it was possible. And it was the first time in my life where I ever consciously made a decision to believe in somebody else's belief that was operating at a higher domain than mine. Now, probably I did that a zillion times before, believed in somebody else's belief. Like the time the person told me when I was 7 years old, I couldn't really sing and I should just move my mouth to the music. And I believed, oh, I can't sing. And so I shut down my singing voice because somebody else of authority told me something. Now, you have listened to authority voices, and so have I our whole life, until we become aware. So at this moment, she was offering me the potential that there was another answer for what I was facing. And when she said to me, could you believe it's possible that everything that's causing the problem or creating could actually be in or swept into that kidney, and when it's gone, you could get well? Could you believe that's possible? And I said, well, I don't know if it's probable, but maybe anything's possible. And she said, that's all we need, is a corner of your mind open to the possibility. When she said to me, could you have a complete healing? There was no agreement in me. I had no way to believe that I could have a complete healing. But there was a little part of me that could believe that maybe when they took that kidney, there was a possibility that I could get well. And when I said, I have that, yeah, maybe, she said, let's work with that. Then she did some kind of prayer. I don't know what the prayer was. I didn't hear bells ring. The hair on my neck didn't stand up. But I must have relaxed. Something she said and something I made agreement with caused me to relax because I slept all night without waking. I had not been able to do that in weeks. I'd been in so much pain. The next day, the doctors did the surgery, removed the right kidney, told my family that was gathered that kidney had been destroyed with nephritis. When they looked at the other kidney, it didn't look quite as bad as they would have suspected with 50% destruction, but time would tell. And time did tell. I started, within a couple of weeks, I think it was maybe a week or 10 days, I was home. I started to get better. I was getting better, and I got well. And even at 18 years old, that caught my attention. It's like, something going on here is outside what I've known. And I began to be like a thirsty sponge for everything I could find in this understanding, in this teaching.